Well, hello, everybody. I'm Ed Parcaut, the host of Helping the Brave. Let's bring in our guest today. Evan, is it polling?
Yep, that's correct.
All right. Just, you never know with me being a redneck if I ever get it right. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on.
I appreciate it. I'm just glad, we're here to help vets get the word across of what they did and help other vets while we're doing it. That's my main purpose. All right. What service were you in?
Yeah, so I was in the Ohio Army National Guard. I was stationed in Columbus, Ohio, and I served as a 68 whiskey, which is a combat medic. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was in for about 6 years, and it was an excellent experience.
Yeah, my son's in the Army. He is a airborne medic. So,
Oh
and the only
wow!
reason I knew it was 68 whiskey is because they tried to do a show, and it was one of the worst shows they've ever created. I don't know if you saw that show. Yeah,
Uh,
it was like the acting was so bad. It's like you couldn't have done better, with this. Anyway, we'll move on. Uh, what? Why did you join the military? Was it a family thing, or was it just college?
I was reflecting on that, and I think for a lot of veterans, there's a lot of reasons why they join. For me, my particular story was, I came from a broken family and small town America. I knew that I had some problem with authority, respecting authority. Didn't have, I mean, I did really well in school. I was on the college track and everything, but couldn't really afford college. And so there was just a myriad of reasons just to mature myself, to, provide a way to educate myself that I really decided to jump all in and join the military. So,
And so you went in as a medic, and when you got so a lot of people like myself, I was a corpsman in the Navy, went in as a corpsman and got out and is in business, right? Because I got my bachelor's and master's. Well, got my bachelor's. I was in half of my master's and then finished my master's when I got out. But
oh, cool.
it's for me. I just had enough of the medical. But if I would have known then what I know now, I would have continued on and got my nursing degree and just went into some other type of business with that. Because my wife's a nurse at
Yeah.
Kaiser, and it's just and in management, and it's just amazing what they make. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I
So
didn't,
you
I didn't,
go ahead,
my
Evan.
apologies. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, it's just we got a
Yeah.
little
I didn't
lag.
pursue, That's true. That's true. I didn't pursue business right out of college, but I was always told while I was in high school, like, hey, you should be going to college. And so I remember I was working in a factory, and the guy across the aisle from me, I was making, I think, $12 an hour, and the guy over there was making 16, and he had a business degree in college, and I realized I didn't want to have my generic business degree, and so I went and got a degree in accounting and financial economics, and so shortly after ended up doing a lot of contract work just because I was so busy, didn't have a lot of time to take an internship. A lot of out of college, a lot of people want you to have that real work experience, which I didn't have, and so did a lot of contract work, and eventually ended up in financial crimes investigations for large corporate banks, and so it's kind of an interesting going from medical to kind of like the financial world.
How long were you in the financial crime side of it?
I was there for about 10 years, actually. So I started about 2014. I joined Chase as a huge wave of contractors, and there was a huge Bernie Madoff scandal. The regulators came in, did a huge thing on the bank, looking through their books and found all of these suspicious activity reports, which are essentially these reports reporting on accounts within the bank that are doing this financial crime-like activity, and they had to hire a bunch of consultants. And I was one of the many, like 180, 200 consultants that came in and helped J.P. Morgan Chase get their act together.
So it wasn't Bernie Madoff; it was something like that, is what you were saying, or right?
Yeah, the investigation on the Bernie Madoff is what
Oh, so it was part
allowed
of
the
that whole
Fed
thing.
to see. Well, yeah, they were investigating that, and then in addition, they found all this other stuff that they needed to work on, and that other stuff was part of what I was tasked to help out with. Yeah.
Wow. And I assume it had to do with your accounting degree that you had to do like forensic accounting and that kind of stuff.
So part of the contract work before Chase, I worked for a fast food company, Raising Cane's. It's like a chicken finger
Mm-hmm.
restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And I found 2 out of our 13 locations were embezzling money. And so I was a financial analyst at the time, and I put that on my resume. I got called up by a recruiter, and then kind of got into the financial crimes investigation world, and then worked a lot of different contracts throughout the years. So maybe I've probably been to 5 or 6 different places since then. So yeah.
And then you're not, I mean, we're only 5 minutes into this, but because usually people service takes a little bit longer. But
Sorry.
no, it's fine. It's your podcast. It's really about why, the reason I asked why you joined is, and you joined just like a lot of people join. Don't know what you're going to do. You're going to get figure out what you're going to do by going in the military. You did that. But you're no longer in the financial crime stuff. You're doing something totally different now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, to touch quickly on my service, to be honest with you, I was kind of a mediocre military man. I wasn't really fully devoted. Like I said, I was kind of trying to work out my respective discipline. I was, doing a lot of it for me. And it was focused on me. And so my military service was about me in a lot of ways. And so it was one of those things where I learned how to, I learned a lot of good skills, met a lot of great people. I think the hardest thing for my service was with the National Guard, the constant mental switch between civilian and soldier. I would notice like a week before drill, I would get, headaches, and I would get short with people. I was like turning into a soldier. And then after doing the soldiering, I came back and I had, a little bit of a period to switch. And so I always kind of joke, I had, hundreds of, military to civilian transitions during my time of service. And so, it was a great time. But
Did you get deployed at all? Did you get deployed at all during the period of time?
No, I did not. My unit did. I didn't go because I had migraines, and I went through MEPS and did the whole like, hey, I have migraines. And I'm like, okay, great. And that was during, I think that was, I don't know, that wasn't too far after the 9/11 surge when they needed a lot of troops. And so they cleared me through, and hey, we're deploying. Does anybody have any medical stuff? It's like, yeah. And they're like, oh, well, you can't go now. I'm like, interesting. So they deployed like half of our unit, which was really, really strange. But no, I've never deployed.
Yeah. No, because reservists have been deployed more than anybody else. I know some reservists who have 60 months over there.
Wow.
Which is more than active duty personnel.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's how they created the service. After Obama, they cut it back and wanted more reservists so that they could pull from that. And they did. Yeah. Because I was asked when I got out, you going to join them, the same stuff. I'm like, heck no, because they could call me back up. No way. Oh, they'll never do that. Oh, whatever. Definitely they will. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Part of their strategic planning for war, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they don't want to pay for the full force all the time. This way they can just call it up when they need to.
Yeah.
All right. So back to, I'm going to, if you're all right, we'll go back.
Yeah. Let's transition as we need to, for sure.
Yeah. So the financial crimes, you did that for a while. I'm sure that would help you as a business owner or somebody in business to know what your other people are doing for you or against you.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of analytics there. I was tasked to look through a lot of business accounts, and so essentially unfettered access to see every transaction in someone's account without their knowledge. And so, when I'm looking at hundreds of different industries in a given year, and I have to learn how they buy and sell product, who their suppliers are, how they make money, what's considered normal activity in their account versus suspicious activity. You have to do a lot of like business research and, to really understand the businesses. And so I had a lot of opportunity to learn how businesses ran and how they flourished and what looked right, what didn't look right. Just a lot of research, writing papers, all that stuff is really, really key, I think, to building a good business. And so I think that skill helped me a lot.
Now, when you're saying, not a normal transaction, what they're not doing, what they should be doing, what's the easiest way for a business to get into trouble? Because you said
Oh,
suspicious activity report, but that's usually a
yeah.
bank's writing something saying, "Hey, this is." I'm not trying to give people idea. I'm just the normal business owner. It can be
Yeah.
running a business and do something that they didn't know they shouldn't have done. I'm not saying they're all like that, but I'm just saying sometimes people can do things that I can't do that. They
Yeah.
because I run into this I'm in the mortgage industry, and there's people now who post stuff about doing stuff, and I'm like, that's illegal.
Yeah.
That they're going to come after you if you post that. Oh no, it's a hack. No, it's not a hack. It's something we tried years, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 40 years ago. It didn't work then. It's not going to work now.
Right.
But
Right.
they think it's
I w-
something new that they can do.
yeah, I would say avoiding currency transaction reports. It's essentially when you go into a bank and you deposit or withdraw $10,000 in U.S. currency, it's actually over. So it's got to be 10,001 penny over, for it to register. There's a thing where business owners try to avoid filing that because that goes to the IRS, right? And when you avoid filing it, so to say you do 9,000, or you go to one branch and do 5,000, one branch and do another 5,000, or you try to be sneaky and, we'll catch you, we'll write a report. And the crime for doing that is much greater than just filing the report. And just because if you file the CTR, it makes it look like you have nothing to hide if you're willing to comply with the federal regulations. And so I think that gets more business owners in trouble than anything else, is trying to avoid that filing.
Yeah, because you always hear people say, "Yeah, just don't put deposit, $10,000, do 9,000 or whatever." And what you're
Oh yeah,
saying
you
is
get
just
caught.
deposit it, huh? What?
You'll get caught. I filed so many reports, and then now it goes to a criminal investigator who's now investigating your business, and so it's just no bueno for sure.
So just what you're saying is if you're doing it, just do it, file the report. I mean,
Yeah,
because it depends on the bank and depends on where it's at, right? Who files that report, or is it because is it at the branch level it gets filed, or is it at the
anywhere where you can deposit money, yeah,
okay?
across the United States. So
Well, so be careful out there if you're a business owner. Don't take cash out and put cash back in
yeah, there you go. Or
unless
if you
you. I
do
mean,
it,
because
do it over.
I've done that, but I have no problem. I can tell you why I did it. If you want to fill out a report, whatever we have to do, I don't really care. It's not that. It just
Yeah,
depends on certain. Like I bought things with cash, and then wasn't able to do it by what I was doing and brought it back. Because
yeah,
sometimes these people, that when you're buying equipment, they want cash because it's
yep.
it's they're selling it again because they took it from some company and thousands of them and they're trying to sell them, but they don't want to deal with all this other. They want cash and bid on it with cash. And I've had
So
to do that before, which because I prefer to buy stuff cash and not have to worry about payments.
yeah, I mean, if you sell something for $9,000 and you got $9,000 cash, you should deposit the 9,000, and you have receipts. Hopefully, like even if it's a handwritten receipt from somebody that you sold it, what their name was, the date you sold it, how much you sold it for, and then if the bank asks you about it, then you have that to show them. So it shouldn't be a big deal.
Right. All right. So after doing all this, you got to a point where you just didn't want to do it anymore, or I mean, what was the change to get you out of the financial side?
Well, COVID kind of mixed things up a little bit. There was it's been about a 4-year period now that I was remote. Um, I'm kind of a high efficiency guy. I'm always thinking like 2 levels ahead, giving my bosses suggestions on efficiencies and things like that. And, from a young guy like myself, people don't take too kindly to that. And so in my own work, I was working at a bank, and I was working maybe 5 hours a week for a 40-hour week, and I was getting all my work done, no issues. And so, and then most recently, a very similar situation, maybe 10 hours a week, leading a team even, and had an amazing team that kicked butt and, delegated tasks, cross-trained the team, that kind of thing. And, just kind of realizing that maybe my talents were best suited somewhere else. And so my wife, God bless her, she's, supporting me through my entrepreneurial journeys right now. And so I decided to take a leap.
And so, what are you doing?
So I started a company called bizretire.com. It's an attempt to make a fragmented market more cohesive. The market that I'm in is buying and selling businesses.
Okay.
Currently, there's really only a couple options. One is, if you want to sell a business, you work through a business broker.
Hmm.
But there's some issues with that. I think business brokers have a lot of experience and they can help people through that process, especially when it's their first time selling a business, which is really important. But they charge 10 to 20% commissions on that sale. And a lot of times they'll just take your business and slap it on their website, or they'll slap it on like a central website like bizbuysell.com. And so, if if your business is worth $1 million and you're paying, 10, 20%, that's $100,000 to $200,000 to have someone essentially slap your business on a website. In addition, when a buyer is trying to talk to a business broker, they have to talk from the buyer to the business broker, from the business broker to the business owner, from the business owner back to the business broker, and from the business broker back to the buyer. So it takes 4 times as long to buy or sell a business with a business broker. And so it's it's a 250-year-old practice that I kind of equate it to like Blockbuster and Netflix. We need the Netflix of today, not the Blockbuster. So there's a better way. And then when you look at a website like bizbuysell.com, it's great. 90% of the listing businesses on BizBuySell, to my understanding, are business brokers. And so that's how you have the centralized website that kind of points to all the brokers around the country in different locations, right? And then you have a buyer, you have all these buyers, 150,000 plus buyers, which is great. But these buyer accounts are free. So imagine going on there, listing your business. You have a really good business. And, these buyers have all these notifications that when a business hits a platform, they get notified. So say you have $1 million business, you slap it on BizBuySell. Now you've got 1,000, 10,000, 500, I don't know, a crap ton of emails. And as a business owner, how are you going to sift through all of the BS and find a buyer that's really, good for you? How are you going to, protect your identity? How are you going to protect your staff? I've went on bizbuysell.com and looked for a business for sale. And, it's like, we've been in the business for 35 years. We're on the West Valley of the city, we're a plumbing company. I go on Google and type that up, and I can literally call the guy, and he's like, how did you get my number? It's like, I just looked at your business listing and I got your number. And so it's not very safe or secure. And so my business kind of combines all that. It's a private marketplace, no commissions. Buyer and seller is direct. Buyers have to pay to see the listing, so they have a little bit of skin in the game. They have to sign a non-disclosure. So I've created a company that is the best of both worlds, and that's the idea to conglomerate a fragmented marketplace.
Yeah, I know, because I know a few people who want to buy businesses, and even all the way up to Alex Hormozy, who looking for certain things. But good friend of mine does this, and one of his big focus is veteran-owned businesses. So he niched down to where he only wants to work with veterans, because we're normally, I don't know, how do you put that, more direct, and we don't want to mess around. We want to get to a point, tell us how it's done, unlike other people in other industries.
Yeah, easier to just to talk straight with somebody and get the work done. Yeah,
because that's how it should be. But sometimes, yeah. And he's run into issues with other people, where they change their mind last minute, don't want to do it, or this or that, and they're in contract. Because what a lot of people don't realize, selling the business is almost like selling a house, where you have agents involved and people, and that would be the broker. But I mean, people who, handle that business for you. So I understand what you were talking about with listing the business and putting on things, and then you have to talk to multiple people. It's like selling a house. You don't talk to the seller, you talk to your buyer's agent, who then talks to the selling agent, who then gets back.
And it's even worse if you think about it, because if you've built a business over 40 years, you've served your community, you have staff that you care about, you love, that you've supported, you built these relationships, and then you have somebody that is unknown to you coming in and trying to buy this business from you. A lot of times the deals fall through because the personality mismatch. And so, especially with a broker in the middle, broker is going to look at buyer offers from the point of money and commission. Whereas with my platform, I allow the buyer and seller connect outside the platform so they can have a conversation, they can get to know each other. Because I think that's an important piece to buying a business. Like you said, you have a buddy that only wants to deal with veterans because his personality type is he just wants to talk straight with somebody and have a meaningful conversation and have it quickly without anybody's feelings getting hurt. And that's a huge portion of buying and selling a business, I think.
Well, it's also knowing who your perfect client is. And I
Yeah.
run multiple other podcasts, but we just did a whole thing on this for the last few weeks about knowing, you need to niche down to who your perfect client is and only focus on that. I know you're focused on people, business to be sold, but even with what you're doing, you could niche it down to only deal with certain types of businesses to sell.
Yeah. I think I'm trying to niche it down on the buyer side for sure. I want to get buyers who are actually serious about buying, not just window shoppers. Because I feel like for every business there is out there to sell, there's 10 people who, quote unquote, want to buy a business, but really don't know what's involved with that, or maybe even qualified to buy a business. And it doesn't have to do with money. Maybe they just don't have enough life experience or the wherewithal to run an operation like that.
Well, what I'm talking about is it would be focused like I only sell plumbing businesses, or I only sell accounting firms, or or I group together a bunch of businesses in the same category and then sell those. You know what I mean? That's more niche, to where when you're saying that, well, I want you just want the true buyers. You're trying to clean it up to where it's true buyers looking, not just a bunch of people looking.
Yeah.
I get that, but that is what I'm talking about, is focusing on niching that so far down, who your perfect client is. So when you talk to them, they know you're talking to them. I mean, because I'm sure there's enough, plumbing businesses that want to sell over the next, because here's the big thing. Most plumbers that run a business, they're 50 plus. They were getting ready to be done, and there's nobody coming up behind them. So,
yeah.
And I'm not pushing you to, I'm just trying to clarify when I say niche down. So
yeah, no, I think it's a good call out. I think there's some opportunity there. I'm still kind of fresh in all this and still working out the details, and everything's up in the air. But it's actually been hard to find people to list their business, especially when you have a company that no one really knows about. You have some random young guy calling you on the phone. You're 50 something years old. You have a business. He says he wants you to go on the platform and put your business on there and put your credit card information in there, and then you got a free trial, and then it only charges you after. To a lot of people, it's like, well, that kind of sounds scammy. So it's it's a little bit of an obstacle to overcome, but I'm working through that one day at a time.
Right. Well, and prior to doing this, were you involved with businesses being sold?
No experience.
And how did you jump into it? Because you're looking for a business to buy?
Yeah, I went through the buying experience for my wife, honestly. And I wanted to buy a business, and I was just left pretty frustrated. I was actually looking to buy, and just dealing with brokers, I just couldn't do it. It was horrific, and no one takes you serious. All the brokers think that the business that they're selling is worth a pot of gold. And I remember talking to one broker, and he's like, "Yeah, we got this. He makes like $800K a year." And I'm, okay, well, tell me a little bit about his customers. He's like, "Well, he's got one customer that makes up 90% of his business." And I'm thinking, well, when that customer no longer exists or doesn't want to do business with me, then the business I bought is not worth anything at that point. And so it's tough. It's tough both ways. So,
have you looked into Scalable?
I've heard of it, but I'm not familiar.
They're a huge. How do you put it? I don't want to say mastermind, but they're about buying. They're a huge. It's Roland Fraser, who buys a ton of companies, and Ryan Dice, if I remember right. Ryan Dice. They're the same people who put together the traffic and conversion in San Diego. That was sold. That's now in Las Vegas, but they're into how that it's better to buy a business than it is to start a business. That is their philosophy, and they help you scale your business to be sold. And it's the same thing like Alex Hormozi's doing with his whole acquisitions.com. But what I'm getting at, it wouldn't be a bad place for you to go to learn stuff about what you're trying to do, and
Yeah, for sure.
give you credibility going over there to get to people you might want to get to. And that's why when I was talking about what you're doing is you're trying to break into a market that's never been changed forever. And
Hmm.
now you're coming in there, but knowing, and that's why I was thinking some type of niching down of something that you really could focus on, that you could say, okay, I know how to do this. Let's focus on, and
Hmm.
then just focus on that, and then start getting into other industries over time. Because you
Yeah,
don't want to
no,
sell
I
a real
agree.
estate office. You don't want to sell, there's certain things you probably don't want to sell.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. I've spent probably thousands of hours, reading books and watching videos, but that stuff only goes so far, rather than the actual experience of doing it. And so, I definitely hear what you're saying. I think that's a good call out.
Well, and please don't take it wrong. Like I'm not trying to tell you you don't know what you're talking about, because you do know what you're talking about, especially the financial side of stuff, and that's important. But maybe you can relate that financial stuff into looks going, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Because the friend of mine I told you about, what he does, he sets them up on this whole SaaS system, so that when they're getting leads, they can handle it, so that their business is more profitable
Yeah,
because of all the additional leads that are coming through, because of how they're set up to answer calls, all the different things that they didn't do to begin with. So setting them all up on that helps them to a certain point where you could set them up with, let me look at your books. Let's see what we can do to make this a much better sell for you, as from my background.
yeah,
It's just a thought. I mean, because you have such a great background, and looking at things that you could go in and say, okay, this is what we need to do. Let's set this up this way. So when we go to sell you, you're better off. Someone's going to buy you and give you top dollar. And that could be a totally additional
yeah,
service that you provide.
yeah. It's true. I've thought about it before, but it'll be something I have to think a little bit more about. Appreciate it. Yeah,
Well, just tell me to shut up. It's okay.
and now it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, it's tough too. It's the same thing. It's like, you know, where's your experience? You're going to come in, poke around on the books, and help me with this thing. And just all you need is one, though. You need to have the proof, the testimony of one person, successful, and then kind of ride off into the wind with that, hopefully. So,
Yeah.
just gotta
But
work
you
on
have,
getting that one.
yeah, but you have the background, because you could tell them this is what I
That's
did
true.
originally, with the chicken place. I was able to find the embezzlement that was going on to fix that, because you don't want that to come up while you're doing your bit. And so this is, you have the knowledge in the background to
Yeah,
utilize it and use it to help people understand where you're coming from. I just don't think you've probably put that out there enough for them.
yeah. That might be true. That might be true.
Yeah. I mean,
Absolutely.
because that's how it got to your next job, right? You hit Chase because of what you did. And then what you
Yeah,
did at Chase, all that. That's, so you have a financial background that most people who come into business or help people sell businesses have no idea what you're talking about. They don't know anything about forensic accounting. They don't know anything about looking at accounts and what is this. No, this is not how, how businesses should run and how they should be set up, because you had to research it. I just think you need
that's
to
true.
put that more into your spiel.
Hmm,
And that, you
that's
follow
a
what
good
I'm getting
idea.
at? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah. I
don't
like
think
that.
it's, yeah. And just, sorry, we're better off telling other people what they should do, because we see it,
Yeah,
but they don't see it. It's like myself. A good coach of mine said to me, "You don't see what you do anymore, do you, Ed?" I go, "I have no idea. I do multiple podcasts. I'm on radio. Plus I own a mortgage company." He goes, "You tell people stories across multiple mediums." I was like, "Oh." And then I had another guy, because I focus on veterans, getting them into homes, and I focus on reverse mortgages for seniors to give them their dignity back. And so one guy's like, all you deal with it anymore is dignity. So
hmm,
what I'm getting at, I'm just trying to help you, because I see that you have a good background to take this thing to the future. I just think you need to just tell people who you are first. People don't know who you are. And no
yeah,
one knew who I was until I got on radio in 2018. I was a private person. I was the best kept secret. Got on radio. Now everybody knows everything about me. Wrote my book, wrote everything. And then that's another thing. You write a book on financial, problems with companies, or how not to get into trouble with it. You have a lot of knowledge that you can then go, this is what I can do for you in your business.
yeah.
Let's put you in the system. Let me go through your books. Let me fix everything, and we'll get you to get top dollar. There's just so many things you can do that I see that you're just in that precipice of getting going. I get it. Been there many times.
Yeah. And it's like kind of what you said. It's like when you're in it, you can only see in front of your face, but you have someone else that can kind of see it from a different perspective, a different angle, and give you a little bit of a different way of looking at things. And so, like you said, you have a coach, and so anyone out there that has a coach or someone speaking into them, they have that the angle of wisdom to be able to, oh, okay, that's a good observation. Let me apply that. So I do appreciate it. I think that's good insight. So thank you.
That's why generals are not in the foxhole.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Right. I mean, not that we're in fox, but I'm just saying that's the difference is you have to. That's why they tell you take a few days of the week. Don't work in your business. Work on your business. Get out of your business. Go work on it and make it better. Because most of us just work in our business and we forget to work on it. But Evan, it was really nice getting to know what you're doing and what you're going forward and having help people with their business, because most people don't think about when they start a business, how are they going to exit the business? And that's another thing they need to know how to set up. So when they're ready to exit, they're ready to exit.
Yeah, that's so true. So many people I've talked to recently, a widow who her husband didn't plan for that. And now she's got to sell her house, and she's liquidating the business, all the equipment, and everything's falling apart around her. It's so sad to see that and hear those stories. And so, yeah, planning for an exit is huge. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, my pleasure. And by the way, there's another story to put. Don't let this happen to you. This is why you want to plan. This is what we can do for you. There's a lot of, you're analytic. I can see it. You're more and numbers and other stuff. I'm more marketing. I'm more other sales side. So I don't know, I know you can come up with it. I know you can get somebody to help you, but it's just, there's so much you have to throw in this package to get people to understand where you're coming from and why you're trying to help them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate that encouragement and that insight. Like I said, I'm just trying to do the next best thing every day. And I think I'll ponder how maybe I can add me into that package and see how that goes. So
you have to. People don't realize people buy you. No one buys Tesla. They buy Elon Musk.
That's true.
And that's true. And that's the same thing with what I had, in being in my industry. We know this. We know that we sell ourselves, and then we sell the company we work for or own, right? Two separate entities. Most people don't realize that. You have to promote you as much as you promote your business, because people are buying you. And and most people don't. They only do the business, and then that's who they are. No, you're Evan and the business, and you need to promote why you're so important as Evan on top of the business also.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and personal branding and marketing is huge. I think we see things like Cody Sanchez and Alex Hormozzi and all these people, and that's a huge part of it. They love the personality, they love the people. People don't love entities and structures; they love people. So that's good.
Yeah. And it was really nice to get to know you, Evan. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. Really appreciate you. If there's anything we can help you with, let us know. And again, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, mine too.